Rise of Tiamat was the second adventure I ever ran, because I ran Tyranny of Dragons, Horde of the Dragon Queen first. It's important to run this adventure well, so that it builds up to the climax. And the book is not always that straightforward. So here I am to make it clearer. Hopefully you also ran Horde of the Dragon Queen, and you ended up at Skyreach Castle. You either befriended the giants on there, or you made their enemy and Skyreach Castle perhaps crashed. No matter where they ended up, Waterdeep will beckon them back. Leosin Erlanthar will send a raven with a box in its beak. Upon opening that box, it says in a familiar voice, "Leosin Erlanthar sends his heartiest congratulations. Please use the gift this bird brings to meet me in Waterdeep as soon as possible." And inside there is a teleport scroll, so devise it to get the party back in Waterdeep. There's a paragraph then about the drake horn sounding. A sudden shift in the wind brings with it a strange sense of unease. The feeling is akin to the drop in air pressure before the approach of a deadly storm. So, dogs go quiet, no birds squawk, there's just an eerie feeling, and that is the horn being blown somewhere in Faerun. Within a minute everything returns back to normal, but animals do remain skittish. The adventurers will make their way to the Lord's Palace. There they meet Leosin in person. Leosin himself is not allowed into the council, but the PCs are. So it's walking into a place of government. You've got all the factions sat around, and they're all going to have different opinions on what the PCs have done or plan to do. There is a very important scorecard in the back of the book. So this scorecard has the factions down one side and then 4 different council meetings laid out with pluses and minuses. This whole book is about gathering forces for the final confrontation at the end against the cultists, who are trying to release Tiamat from her hell prison. The more factions they win on their sides, the more military and helpful aids they can have next to them. It seems daunting on first use, it did to me, and it's actually not that bad. If you look at the first council alone, that is pretty much going over the events that they have done in Horde of the Dragon Queen. Do you still have Skyreach Castle, the flying castle, in your possession, or do the giants have it? Each different response will get a tick or a minus from certain members, so you will make a note of that, who's unhappy and who's happy on the scorecard. The dragon eggs you found in the dragon hatchery, did you smash them? Did you bring them with you? Did you kill Resmir? Did you capture Resmir? Did you kill or capture Rathmodar? You can't please everybody, that is the theme. So let's say these are your players. They come into this big Lord's Palace. I made cards, all the reds, for example, are for the Lord's Alliance. And on the other side, I wrote down the names and key information. Conrad Brawnanvil is hot-tempered and suspicious. Lady Laeral Silverhand. So each one of my cards is then set out like so. That's the Lord's Alliance. There's a guy called Siristaval who kind of tags along in that group. We've got a member of the Emerald Enclave, Order of the Gauntlet, 2 mysterious nobles, and a harper. And all on my side, they all have writing on, so I can see the motivations. And I will literally say, oh, King Melendrak says this, and Ontharr Froom will say this. In each council meeting, I will have these conversations and let the party explain themselves. And I will intersperse some people at the back. No names on cards, just, someone in the Emerald Enclave says, oh, no, boo, sort of shaking their head. Other people say, well, right on, you did right, just sort of agreeing. And it's a hodgepodge of people who they think, oh, and we've done a good job. And other people are like, no, you didn't do a good job. So they're having to do public speaking effectively. And this will lead to the setup of 2 possible adventure routes. Now, they either take Mission A to investigate the sound they heard outside, the Drake Horn. A noble called Lady Silmerhelv will say she knows about the Drake Horn, and she could explain what that is. It's a horn that summons dragons. She will say that the Sea of Moving Ice was the last known location of the Drake Horn. There is also a tiefling sorcerer named Makath the Crimson who went missing investigating in the Sea of Moving Ice. And no one alive knows more about that Dracon than her. So basically you're going to an iceberg in that mission. Or they can do the other mission first. Talis the White, if you remember, said that Varum the White now has the white dragon mask. All the colours, the chromatic colours, 5 colours, are going to make up the dragon mask, slot on and give ultimate dragony powers to the wearer. The party should have the black mask from Resmir already. One of them might even constantly be wearing it, giving them certain benefits that you can Google. After the council meeting, Leosin can say to the party that Varum the White has apparently lost the white dragon mask, and he sends the characters to a place called Boreskaya Bridge, instructing them to seek information on Varum's recent movements and probable destination. This episode leads the players to chase Varum to a forgotten ruin in the Serpent Hills where there's a load of Yuan-Ti. They can choose the first iceberg mission or they can choose the second one, but whichever one they do first, they then have to go do the other without returning to the council. There's no real detail about travelling in between, you just have to get them from one to the and then to the other. And then they come back for the second council meeting where they again are questioned by the authorities and they get pluses and minuses on their actions, which I really like. Now in the first council meeting, one of my players threw a hand axe across the hall, banged into one of the benches where one of the council members was sat, and it took them the rest of the game to try and win them back over. So now we're going to go through my cards in case that's helpful. We mentioned earlier Ambassador Conrad Braunanvil, Shield Dwarf. He's hot-tempered, he's suspicious. He will eventually, if won over, give them siege weapons, massive artillery. Useful. Another Lord's Alliance. All the Lord's Alliance are red. Lord Dagult Neverember. He's a big deal. He's a human fighter, but his money and funds are tied up because in previous storylines he's paying for a road to be built through the Mere of Dead Men. This guy gets voted out from being the leader of the Lord's Alliance by council meeting number 2. So he's the spokesperson. When we meet him again, he's had his wings clipped by Lady Laeral Silverhand. Very nice, very polite. That's how I played her. Thunder spells, Tane Hornblade, a good male wizard. He does things for the greater good, so that could mean stepping on fingers. He brings an army of the Silvery Moon. He's actually still alive thanks to a potion. He knows wizards and can bring them on the fight. Marshal Ulder Ravengard. He's a male human fighter and he's a leader of the Flaming Fist, which I have now understood what that is because I played Tomb of Annihilation, and I think he's even at the heart of Descent into Avernus. So this guy, is the greatest military mind and useful to have on your side. King Melandrak, he has 2 sons. He's a wild elf fighter druid. He's arrogant. He is king of the Misty Forest and High Forest. Big time druid. He has 2 sons, Algathus and Nerenvain. And Nerenvain is missing. Play this guy as arrogant because he's going to get his comeuppance later. I put plus the Lord's Alliance. Sir Istavel. He is a dragon slaying expert and won't shut up about it. He basically represents Daggerford. He brings purple dragon knights, but he is boring. He's boastful. Always, I'm the dragon expert, I know all about it, I killed a dragon. Emerald Enclave. Delane Winterhound, half-elf ranger. He has a wolf by his side called Loska. He is a best friend with a treant called Turlan. He can bring the druids, the rangers, barbarians, all outdoorsmen. Harpers. Remelia Haventree, the moon elf. Fighter, honest, friendly. She can provide safe houses, hideouts. She pops up conveniently if things get too much for the PCs. Help always comes from Remelia and the Harpers. The Harpers work secretively though. People hide their pins under their tunics. They don't always have them on their sleeves, as it were. Who does have it on their sleeves is Order of the Gauntlet. Onvar Froom, your friend from Horde of Dragon Queen. Human Paladin, supports the players pretty much no matter what. He will lean on evil players to change to good alignment if you have evil players. Clerics, monks, paladins, makes sense. He's a good guy and wants to tell you about it. Then we've got 2 mystery characters. This woman, Waterdeep Noble, is actually Lady Silmerhelve, and she's the person who knows about the Drakehorn because she has an ancient bronze dragon in her family lineage who's a protector of their family. If maybe she even is a dragon in human form. This person is certainly a dragon in human form. She's a silver dragon called Otari Liakanos. That's why people call her Elia. She will eventually, in episode 6, invite the players to a dragon council to get the dragons on side. It really depends how these whole meetings go on who will be at the final fight. I wouldn't necessarily tell the players that that is where this is going, unless they're doing really badly and towards the end start to say, you are meant to be getting all these guys on side. So that first session is pretty easy, just run a council meeting. Metagame if you have to, saying look, you've been offered 2 missions, which one do you want to do first? And then report back to the council. And then go have fun. And I'll see you in the next video.